Soldier of Fortune 2 is a first-person shooter developed by Raven Software running on the Quake III engine, and it is without a doubt the worst shooting game they have ever made. It's a sequel that literally improves nothing from the first game, trying to include a bunch of new features that ultimately do not work. I don't even know where to start with this, from the horribly unbalanced difficulty modes, the inconsistent visuals, or the abysmal weapon handling. On a positive note, things start off well enough, with a cool flashback showing a slightly younger John Mullins on a rescue mission in Prague. After gunning down waves of men in yellow raincoats, you rescue a scientist for some reason and have to help him escape the country. During these escape sequences, the game introduces you to the new stealth mechanic, something that is almost utterly useless and never required for the rest of the game, mainly because once an alarm is triggered, it can't be turned off for the remainder of the level. Despite that though, it all just kinda clicks. The writing feels like a pulpy Tom Clancy novel, weather effects are pretty, the levels are well laid out, and you get some nice close quarter areas where you can let rip with the shotgun, and can see Raven's updated ghoul damage system in action. After this, the game picks up in the present with a boring, forgettable story, voice acted with little to no enthusiasm, and has John set off to prevent a virus from being released, dealing with a potential mole from within the shop, the organisation from the first game. Things really fall apart like a dried turd when you get to the levels set in the thick, dense jungles of Colombia. The Quake III engine does a good enough job of rendering the foliage and various other flora that you'd expect in such an environment, and it actually does look quite convincing. But it's brought apart at the seams by the fact that it may as well not even be there at all, and provides about as much cover as a mankini does. What it breaks down to is that even if you're standing in grass up to your head, enemies can still pick you out of the shrubbery, as if you had a fucking neon sign pointing to you. On top of that, they're quite fond of throwing grenades at you. And seeing as you can't often see the ground to see where they land, you'll most likely die time and time again. These levels are almost monumental in their failure, worsened only by the terrible weapon handling system. Compared to Soldier of Fortune 1, which had something of a run-and-gun approach, the weapons in Soldier of Fortune 2 handle much more realistically, requiring the use of controlled burst firing, which sounds good and all, however this limitation doesn't apply to the enemies, who can empty an entire magazine at you from 200 yards away and hit dead on target every goddamn time. That is cheap in every single sense of the word. It seems that age is caught up on John Mullins because if he shoots more than 1 or 2 rounds at a time, his aiming goes out the window and he can't hit the side of a barn. This frustration is slightly alleviated on easier difficulty modes because the weapons do marginally less damage, but it doesn't help the fact that this is just a bitch of a game and the core shooting mechanics are broken as hell. Combine this with the limited save system and you've got the ultimate recipe for rage. If you manage to make it through this section without losing your temper and rage quitting, then you honestly deserve a medal. As I've come back to this level over the years, I've almost tried to sort of rationalize it, like, is it supposed to be this difficult on purpose? Was it a conscientious choice by the level designers to simulate the unpredictability of guerrilla warfare? But I think it all just boils down to the fact that it's poor programming. And that's really what this game is about, almost across the entire board. Later missions in the game aren't any better. There's a mission set in Russia where you infiltrate a lab and rescue a scientist that just throws dozens of enemies at you at any one time and drags on far too long for its own good. There's a chopper boss fight during one of the later missions where you have to shoot the panels off the side of its wings, exposing the engine inside. Yeah, it sounds simple, but to this day I still cannot beat this thing without cheating. And to make matters worse, they recycle it again as the endgame boss. During one of the many cheap deaths during the Switzerland levels, I almost literally put my fist through the monitor. It is that infuriating. There's some really weird shit going on in this game, from the aimbotting accuracy of enemies to the way bullets magically seem to pass through them. It reminds me of that scene from The Matrix 1 where Neo is shooting at one of the agents, only to have this dude dodge the bullets effortlessly. It sometimes feels like that here, where you empty an entire clip at an enemy and hit nothing but air. Also, for a game that runs on the Quake III engine, it looks, well, just look at it. It looks horrible, especially compared to other FPS games at the time. The last area in the game takes place in a building with a blackout and you can't see a goddamn thing. It looks like absolute shit. Compare this to the last area from the first game, a grand, regal German castle doubling as a front for a secret laboratory and submarine base. The diversity in this level alone shows more creativity and artistic flair than the entirety of Soldier of Fortune 2. How did Raven fuck this up so much? You know, I guess in their defense, they did do a good job of modeling the weapons to feel as realistic as possible, and occasionally, and I do stress occasionally, there's some really good looking environments and enjoyable level design. Looking back, I can remember watching Greg Kasavin's review of this game back in the day, and he gave it some absolutely glowing praise. I'd actually be interested in knowing if you finished the game at all, because I can't imagine anyone who did would give this game a score barely above a pass.
Not at first, anyway.
I guess my main frustration comes from the fact that Soldier of Fortune 1 was such an awesome title, and then to see Raven Software literally take a large step back with Soldier of Fortune 2, well, it's disappointing. It pisses me off. It pisses me off. The real question is, should you play it? And the answer to that is a confidently resounding no. It's an unpolished, unfinished turd of a game. Every game developer is allowed to drop the ball at least once, and as far as I'm concerned, for Raven Software, Soldier of Fortune 2 was their dropped ball. Star Wars Jedi Outcast came out the exact same year and is a much better game in every single regard, so go play that instead.